warning before you listen. This epic is not for children, nor for the faint of heart. We retell the ancient Greek myths as they were born, unfiltered, unsoftened. Scenes of violence, curses, betrayals, and a hunger for power that shows no mercy. Given the many conflicting versions of the Titan War, the events have been rebuilt to complete the missing pieces. Here, we tell the myth as it was meant to be told. Sources and references are listed in the episode description. Chapter 78. From War of the Titans, the Clash of Weapons and the Fall of Time. The letter before the war, when justice speaks without a voice. The three sisters, and the step of a shadow that cannot be erased. In the wing where silence had grown roots, where even the wind feared to pass without permission, three sisters returned, Themis, Phoebe, and Theia. But this time, their gathering was not a prophecy. It was a decision. Themis knelt, drawing a circle of ash on the ground with a fingertip that trembled like memory. All signs point to bloodshed, she said, and silence has become another kind of betrayal. Phoebe spoke, her eyes heavy with centuries of unspoken truths. Today, the question is no longer whether we stand with him, but whether we survive him. Theia, as if reading from a book that hadn't yet been written, whispered, "Since Zeus returned, the air has changed. Since the earth fell still beneath Kronos' feet, I've heard regret in Gaia's voice." Themis said, "Kronos no longer seeks to rule, he wants to extinguish, and I will not let justice be buried in silence." Phoebe placed a hand to her chest as if something inside clawed to be released. We need someone to carry the message, not as a scream, but as a spark, something that lights the mind before the sword. Theia turned toward no one and said one name, "Prometheus." Silence, as if the name itself stirred old shadows awake within the walls. Themis breathed. "He is the only one who saw, and did not go blind." Phoebe nodded. "He chose no side, but he sees where the fire bends." Theia added, "Yes, he holds no weapon, but he whispers into the ear of tomorrow." Themis stood. She etched something into a stone slab, wrapped it in black cloth, and said, "This is no warning. This is insight, one no other mind can claim." She lowered her voice. "Take this to him. Tell him, the sky is on the verge of breaking, but beyond that break, there will be no place for a sickle." She didn't hand it to anyone. She placed it on the table, then stepped away, as if the one to carry it would not be chosen, but summoned. The hall remained still. But that stillness was not emptiness. It was the breath before a storm turns. And in the farthest corner from light, where the floor only lets itself be touched if it wills it, Prometheus was listening. Not eavesdropping, not spying, but listening, the way one listens to the last breath of creation. Before a new flame is born from its mouth, he stepped forward. He said nothing. And none of the sisters asked, "Why are you here?" They knew. He was the only one who never waited for permission to feel that something had broken. He looked at the wrapped stone but did not touch it. He turned to Themis and said, "This is what we feared, that silence would become a weapon, and justice a smiling noose." Phoebe asked, her voice somewhere between a doubt and a prayer, "Will you take it?" Prometheus replied, "I will not carry it in my hands. I will carry it in my face." He gazed at the cloth-bound stone, then lifted his eyes to the three figures before him and thought, can justice only live when blood is betrayed? Can silence truly be harsher than the sickle? Theia said softly, "Do you know what it means to deliver this to Zeus? It means, this time, you choose." Prometheus paused, then answered, "I am not choosing Zeus. I am choosing not to live under one who knows the prophecy and still forces it upon life." Themis nodded and pointed to the stone. These words are not a weapon. They are the first cut, one that won't heal without fire. Then silence again. But Theia did not leave. She approached Prometheus not as a goddess to a messenger, but as an eye nearing a crack in the wall, searching for light. She said, in a voice only those who've walked through hell without burning can hear, "Prometheus, you know how the world doubts messages. Mortals, when they rise, will master lies. Even the gods won't believe a word unless it bleeds with a name they know." He didn't reply, but his eyes said, "Then what must I do?" She stepped to the corner, lifted a small stone that looked no different from the rest. But when she touched it, the air itself shivered. "This comes from the mountains we were born in," she said. "Gaia used to carve into it when she wanted to hide her thoughts from Uranus." She raised another stone, small but heavy, then sat down, not to carve, but to summon. "What will you write?" he asked. "Nothing readable," she answered. "I will carve what feels like breathing. If the message reaches you and they ask you to prove it came from us, tell them, bring fire to the stone. When the markings ignite, only Metis will know. It wasn't made by any hand." He asked, "But I won't see it now." "Nor will I. Even fire won't see it, until it is asked." She pressed her palm to the stone, then covered it. "When they call you a liar," she said, "don't argue. Light the stone." Prometheus stepped forward, took the stone from her without asking what the mark looked like, without asking its meaning. She said to him, "I don't care what words you say, as long as you take this silence and set it on fire." He took the wrapped stone and whispered to it, "I don't start fires. I only carry the match." Then he walked away, not as a messenger, but as someone who knows that walking between the lines might mean being crucified within them. And in the far corner, Prometheus stood, without being summoned, as if he could feel the wind shift, as if the next step wasn't meant to be heard, but felt. He left without a weapon, but in his heart were letters scented with ash. He knew that the beginning of war is not a scream. It is a whisper into an ear that believes justice never whispers in vain. After he was gone, Themis said, "Perhaps we did not choose the right time, but we chose the one man who does not hide from fire." This chapter of the epic has come to an end, but remember, what you've just heard is not a record of facts, but the echo of a myth, a story born from the imagination of the ancients, etched into the long memory of humankind. If this tale stirred something in you, if it opened a door to reflection or wonder, don't forget to support the channel and share the journey with those you love. And in the comments, tell us which moment in this chapter struck you the most and why. We'll meet again in the next chapter of this audio odyssey through time. Until then, farewell.